This video is going to be about just some of the things that we all know, but we don't have the consciousness or we don't speak on it for whatever reasons. But I just wrote some notes, and this video is about. This video will be about racism and ethnocide, genocide, whatever you want to call it, against Hawaiians. And basically the Hawaiian struggle and what we go through on a daily basis that nobody seems to talk about. So I'm gonna talk about it, nigga. So I'm gonna fucking talk about it. Let's see. Number one, we got Erasure. That's lumping in with Samoans, Filipinos, Asian blacks, Hawaii locals saying Hawaiians are all gone, no Hawaiians left, pure blood isn't a thing, therefore reducing Hawaiians to nothing or just Hawaii locals. Blood quantum, lateral comparisons are done based on bloodline mentality. Put a note there. Although valid and required to recover, receive justice in the righteousness way, harmful and unrighteous way, detrimental to Hawaiians, but a byproduct of Hawaiian racism restrictivity from America and the world as a whole. Filling Hawaii up with non-Hawaiians to try and bury Hawaiian consciousness of Hawaiian kingdom identity. Hawaii locals thinking because they're local, they have and no one can speak for Hawaiians in media. Media portraying only tourist Hawaii and happy Hawaiians, not the true Hawaiian collective consciousness of Hawaiians and Hawaii in a broader sense. Saying where's the aloha from Hawaiians, putting up accusing Hawaiians of not living up to tourist Hawaii expectations of Hawaiians when faced with Hawaiian anger, dismiss them as being not Hawaiian or not true Hawaiian. Brainwashing Hawaiians to also do this whenever one of us acts out or shows public display of disgust for what happened to our people. Uncle Sam mentality, Uncle Sam effect, lucky we live Hawaii effect. Everybody was colonized in some way, bullshit. People moved to Hawaii and post on social media their fantasy life in Hawaii, meanwhile doing their part in covering up Hawaiian consciousness and regular everyday consciousness struggle by painting Hawaii as perfect getaway place for hippies and people who can't make it in America, and mad at Hawaiians who expose them online and social media and block them and do best to keep Hawaiians from commenting on their page to keep their image intact of perfect Hawaii, aka Hawaii from a non-Hawaiians, especially someone who's a settler quite recently, to Hawaii's fantasy perspective at the cost of Hawaiian thrivability. Racism, not wanting Hawaii ran by Hawaiians, blood quantum Olympics, accusing Hawaiians of being racist, not openly talking about race, Hawaiian race politics, no empathy for Hawaiians' viewpoints and situations regarding illegal occupation, are against any forms of justice for Hawaiians, disregarding truth and facts based on emotion and miseducation, misinformation on Hawaii's situation. Hawaii will be Japanese, better America than someone else, dismissing or not knowing Hawaii's status upon the beginning of U.S. occupation. Side note, as a sovereign country, or simply not knowing two types of people, both are agents for the system, although one is innocent until proven to be an enemy later on. See dismissal or settler mentality. Dismissal. Everybody was colonized bullshit. Hawaiian issues or struggle not important compared to other places or ethnic groups. Not as bad as, just like, oh well, colonism happened everywhere. This isn't something special. When Hawaii's situation is special because Hawaii was never colonized technically. It was illegally occupied, then arguably colonized, settlerinized, buried, and is now coming to light. More and more of Hawaii's illegal occupation truth comes to light as time goes on. And nobody, the collective global consciousness, still doesn't empathize, understand, or make the effort to understand and can't or doesn't grasp what Hawaiians go up against and the severity of it and how they play a part in it against Native Hawaiians. know very well illegal overthrow and occupation happened and is still happening and doesn't care or wants to live in Hawaii even though they're not for Hawaiians' prosperity. Says they are until they really think of the irrational fears of Hawaiians running Hawaii again. Genocide. Import of immigrants to water down Hawaiian population. Land still illegally occupied, ignoring historical facts, history, language, identity, consciousness, almost eradicated and covered up. Many information out there, Googleable, still ongoing, hasn't stopped, and will only stop when justice is served to Hawaiians by America. See all other headings for further in-depth explanation. Only country in the Pacific to not be ran by natives in 2022. One of the few still countries in 2022 not ran by natives. Africa, Asia all have autonomy, but for Hawaiians it's racist and wrong and evil to do so. Meanwhile, the whole world have other ethnic groups, or gave other ethnic groups that respect. Settlerinization. Hawaii locals taking Hawaiian spaces for conversations and viewpoints. Import of American settlers to dismantle Hawaiian population. Marketing Hawaii as a perfect paradise, not giving Hawaiians opportunity to voice concerns or speak the truth. Micronesians, Samoans, Filipinos, other ethnic groups trying to run Hawaii and take part in genocide, settlerinization, colonization of Hawaii at the cost of Hawaiian thrivability. Racism openly and subtly importing people to Hawaii to take advantage of Hawaiians' aloha and love for everyone by putting people as pawns in the grand scheme of things on the front lines, adding fuel to the blaze fire, crossfire, insurgents, adding more to the mix, see settler mentality, to create more problems for native Hawaiians by creating more bodies as casualties in the war caught in the crossfire. Settler mentality. People who move to Hawaii feel as if they have more say on Hawaii than native Hawaiians, speak and are against Hawaiian reparations due to fact of fear and misunderstanding of Hawaiian issues and legal historical situation of Hawaii being illegally occupied. Does not stand with Hawaiians due to their own personal beliefs or gain at the cost of Hawaiian aggression against any form of justice for Hawaiians, whether at state, federal, or international level, because assumptions that Hawaiians will kick everybody out of Hawaii or be ugly how America was ugly to us, Hawaiians. Lucky we live in Hawaii effect. We all call Hawaii home, Hawaiian at heart, but I love Hawaii, thinking they belong in Hawaii more than Hawaiians because that's what they believe or want, even if it's against Hawaiian thrivability or wants. Selfish mindset, inconsiderate mindset, see Dismissal. Thinks Hawaii is ran better by non-Hawaiians. Irrational fear of what will happen to us, family of non-Hawaiians living in Hawaii. Thinking Hawaiians would turn violent upon proper Hawaiian native status in Hawaii at the top of the food chain. So yeah, thank you. I'll make a part 2, but yeah, thank you.